friends, welcome back to Black Book Stacks. I am your host, Kashana Sanders. Depending on where you are in the world, Happy New Year, happy all the things. Here in the Northern Hemisphere, it is 2023 and winter and cold. And also, if you have been with me for a little while, thanks so much for being a patient subscriber. You will recognize the background noise that you hear if any of it comes up as either my puppy, who likes to make little cameo bark appearances, or construction where I live, or whatever random loud music occurs. So please forgive me for all of the ambient noise, but I wanted to produce a video because I have been missing connecting with other readers on the channel, and recently went back to Substack after some time away. I used to love Twitter, and we all know what has happened there. So I have just been evaluating, figuring out which of the platforms that I've been on that I want to continue to engage on, and YouTube, of course, is one of those. So I am back. I want to invite you to also subscribe to my Substack, which is free. I will not turn on paid subscriptions for the foreseeable future. And I will be experimenting with podcasting there. So if you want to listen to me more frequently than when I make the time to upload YouTube videos, then I would welcome that. And I will attempt to give unique perspectives in each place so that you don't get bored. But that is my little announcement. So with that said, I wanted to share a few of the books that I've been reading lately, December, January-ish, and plus one big November release, which is Michelle Obama's The Light We Carry, which I've been listening to actively. And so I can start with that because it's still in process. And I think it's very different from Becoming in that it is very candid, of course, because she's no longer the First Lady of the United States. My suspicion about Becoming is that it was ghostwritten, or at least written in collaboration with ghostwriters, perhaps because of what her designation was at the time that it was being written and also coming out. I forget a lot of the timeline before March 2020, but I really like it. It reminds me of the experience that I had listening to Bill Clinton's My Life, which I checked out at the library in Austin, and it's right on time. It felt like I was sitting in the car with Bill Clinton, and he was talking to me about his life experiences. Listening is, I think that it must have been like at least 4 CDs, if not more than that. But I remember it was like this little book, and it had his picture on the front. And anyway, with that little Arkansas accent of his that I love, is so charming. I guess most people are really charmed by it, or at least they used to be. So listening to The Light We Carry on Audible has been that experience for me, where it's just like walking around New York City, walking the dog, taking the train with Michelle Obama in my ear, telling these wonderful stories that I can totally relate to. She's a Capricorn, I'm a Capricorn. She said that she topped out at 5'11". I think that she was pretty young, and so did I. Although I've shrunk since then, but don't tell anybody. I love that she talks about the self-consciousness that created, and how she sort of had to fight it, and how it followed her to places like Princeton, where she was one of the only Black women, which is also an experience that I can, unfortunately relate to. So yeah, I think it's pretty interesting to hear her perspective. I'm on now chapter 5. She's talking about a kitchen table. Some people have called it their personal board of directors, but really just the people in your life, the friends who give you sanctuary, who make you feel safe and loved and seen, and you know how powerful having a coalition of those people can be. So I'm really enjoying The Light We Carry. I don't know if I can compare it to Becoming really in any way. So except to say that I feel like it's a more authentically Michelle Obama scenario, and you know, that may be why it is, from my perspective, people are not receiving it with the same kind of fanfare or excitement. Maybe it doesn't have the same cachet as Becoming, but I'm not sure. It's hard to tell. I wonder what y'all think if you've read it. So we'll go to the things that I have finished, and then another maybe less well-known title that that I haven't completely finished yet, which is The Survivalists by Kashana Cauley. Well, that's still fresh, so why don't I talk about that? So, Survivalists by Kashana Cauley is a novel about okay, so I'm 40 pages in, so this is my understanding of what the novel is, but let me just tell you about Kashana Cauley. Kashana Cauley is a writer on the show Great North, and The Great North, it's a Fox comedy, and she used to be a writer for The Daily Show with Trevor Noah. Okay, so this book is about a lawyer named Aretha who meets a West Texan who is a survivalist adjacent person who runs a gun-themed coffee business out of a brownstone in Brooklyn, which I love that description, and I feel like it's only a part of what is going on in the book, because it's actually pretty funny and really endearing, and a single woman who has been on a lot of dates with some people where I'm like, are you survivalist adjacent? It's pretty fun to read. So yeah, I just haven't really made time for it, in part because right now I started to read some of the books that I didn't get to last year, including Our Missing Hearts by Celeste Singh, and Olga Dies Dreaming by Ishel Gonzalez, and also Girlhood by Melissa Febos, whom I love. So yeah, so I've been like just digging into these things that I otherwise would not have had a chance to really like take my time with. But The Survivalist has quickly becoming like my fun read, because it's just like out of control. So this is a good one. I think it has come out already, but if not, it's scheduled to come out in early January. So that's one to look out for. I wrote a review for the Boston Globe about Night Wherever We Go by Tracy Rose Payton, who got her MFA from the Michener Center for Writers at the University of Texas at Austin, which is my alma mater for library school. Hook 'em horns. This is her first novel. Okay, so this is about a collection of enslaved women in Texas who basically assert the only control they have over their destinies through a combination of root work and spiritual practices, and essentially trying to maintain bodily autonomy on a struggling plantation owned by two people they refer to as the Lucys, as in the spawn of Lucifer, which is actually adds a little bit of levity to the book. Which reminds me of a mashup of The Handmaid's Tale, which I admittedly did not make it very far into before I got distracted, or my Hulu subscription stopped, something happened, and I was like, it was a combination of, you no longer have this free subscription, and 2017, and feeling like, oh, I think I'm living in this era that they're talking about, and do I want to also spend my free time thinking about that? And the answer was no. So the convergence of those things meant I did not really get the full Handmaid's Tale experience. Did not go read the book. But based on some of the themes from what I picked up in the first couple of episodes, I would say Handmaid's Tale plus The Prophets by Robert Jones Jr., which I guess came out, I'm losing track of time. Do you guys know when it came out? Probably last year? Beginning of last year or beginning of, I'm not sure. Maybe it was at the beginning of 2020. I feel like I might have even done a video about it on the channel. Anyway, so The Prophets, The Sweetest Water by Nathan Harris, and Handmaid's Tale. The writing is really beautiful. There's some romance. There are alternating perspectives, points of view, including that of the Lucys, which is interesting. And must have, for Tracy Rose Payton, been an interesting exercise in humanizing them, which I think that is what made me think about The Prophets, actually, is that there's some humanization that happens there that is not very common in narratives about enslaved people and slavery times in America. And it ends in a way that I did not expect and that I was pleasantly surprised by, and I like that characters who we feel like might not get a happy ending actually do get a happy ending in the end. So that made me pretty happy. I was pretty satisfied by it. So Night Wherever We Go by Tracy Rose Payton, I highly recommend, and you should pick it up. Okay. I am saving the best for last, kind of. This is the Black Women Writers at Work collection, edited by Claudia Tate. It has a foreword by Tilly Olsen. It features Maya Angelou, Tony Kate Bambara, Gwendolyn Brooks, Alexis DeVoe, Nikki Giovanni, Kristen Hunter, Gail Jones, Audra Lorde, Toni Morrison, Sonia Sanchez, and Tazake Shange, Alice Walker, Margaret Walker, and Shirley Ann Williams. And I mean, when I say that I first heard about this book in 2018, Caitlin Greenidge was in conversation with someone at one of the branches of the New York Public Library, and she mentioned this book. And I think she might have also mentioned it on Twitter at some point, and I was so envious of people who had actually had copies or seen it or read it before. So I think Claudia Tate had been a professor of English and African American Studies at Princeton, so all these people would talk about this important collection that was out of print, and I couldn't get my hands on it, so I put it on my Goodreads to be read list in 2018. And so I think at the end of last year, when I saw Caitlin tweet about it, I was like, I gotta pre-order that. So I was hoping it would come in time for my birthday, which is coming up, and it came weeks earlier. So I devoured it, and it's delicious to read. First of all, as a Black woman writer, I feel like we're always trying to tell our truth in the most authentic way with very little explicit or implicit support for breaking rules, trailblazing, being innovative, operating outside of dysfunction and trauma and discord, all those things. And so it's lovely to have a collection that by and large focuses on, here's how you remove these distractions, these external signals to you that what you have to say is not important, that is not significant, that you should not, follow your creative inclination, and instead you should fall into whatever box or stereotype others expect for you, essentially. And each writer has not only, a beautiful biography, but also a different take on how they navigate that, which I love. And, I feel like Nikki Giovanni is really fantastic, of course. It's amazing to hear the wisdom of a Gwendolyn Brooks. And, of course, Alice Walker, who I worship. And Ntozake Shange, who was an early influence of mine, just in terms of just the vast creativity and inventiveness of telling these intimate stories that were not really received with the generosity or the nuance that they deserved. So I highly recommend it. It's going to be a reference of mine really for my entire life. I'm always going to go back, I think, to revisit and take a look and see what these wise women have had to say over time about working at their craft, positioning themselves in the world, navigating a world that's really not meant for us to be in it, right? So I think it's why it's so profound to finally have the reissue. I think it was first published in 1985. I don't know when it went out of print, but I'm really glad that Haymarket Books has reissued it. And I know there are many, many other thousands and thousands of readers who are so excited to finally have it back again. So hopefully it will go into many, many more printings. And I encourage you to get a copy. And with that, I will thank you very, very much again for your likes, shares, for your subscribes here at Black Book Stacks, wherever. Maybe you subscribe to my newsletter from my website. All of those things. 2023 is going to be an amazing year. Lots of exciting things coming up. So please stay tuned. Let me know what you're reading. Let me know how you're doing. And looking forward to connecting with you in this new year.